Hello, you're welcome to this edition of Timeless Conversations. My guests today, yes, guests today are two young men who are lighting the path, charting the way for the next generation of Nigerians. Nigerians who, in a short while, will be fully in charge of running our society. To my left is Joshua Alabi. You're welcome, Joshua. And then to my right, even though both of them are sitting in front of me, is Aniefio Ian. You're welcome too. Now, these gentlemen are involved in an organization called KiNiNso Koncepts, right?
Yes.
Now, they will tell us what KiNiNso is all about. So, Joshua, you're the founder.
Yes, I am.
What's KiNiNso?
KiNiNso means what are you saying, or what is he saying?
Okay.
And for us, it's about what we want to say as young people. Many years ago, we thought that Nigeria is a country that is very rich, not just rich in culture and tradition, and with all the languages that we have, we're rich in talent, young people, creativity. So above all the news around Nigeria about how young people are into all sorts, as young people within this same generation, how do we change this narrative? What do we want to say? How do we say it? So that's how we found KiNiNso.
KiNiNso, what's the platform that you're using to propagate these ideas?
So our platform is basically the creative industry, film and theater, and that we have done from what I would say successfully, and we are still pushing more. We want the world to hear our voices. We have something that we know that the world needs to hear. We are telling our own story, original story. So we want the world to hear us. We want the world to see us from a different perspective. I'll just quickly chip this in. We did a project called Imagination TV, and it was all about how do we see each other? So when you call Nigeria, how are we seen outside? Some people think Africa is a country. Some people don't even know Nigeria exists. So we are always out there telling these stories.
Okay. So now, Joshua, why did you guys choose that platform, the platform of theater, of film, of acting and all that? Why?
So I would like to say theater. Firstly, KiNiNso is more of a theater organization. We do quite a lot with documentaries and all of that. Still, when you watch all our works, it's still from theater. And why did we choose theater? Because theater is where the live action is. There is no cut. It has a power of its own. It provokes you, the audience, into doing something. Someone is in front of you, acting in a very intense way. You need that feedback. That person needs to feed on you while you're feeding on the person at the same time. The synergy that it creates. So that's why we chose the platform of theater and film and documentaries.
All right. So both of you have backgrounds in theater arts.
Yes.
So you're classmates or something?
Okay. So, yes, we're classmates, and I like to tell the story how we started KiNiNso.
KiNiNso now.
In 2010, thereabout, I was in Unilag, Creative Arts Department. I came to study theater. And I had tried this years before then. I was in UI theater department. I left there, went to LASU theater department. It didn't work out until I got to Unilag. And we were about 150 in my class.
That's a large class.
Large class. Few months or about a year later, I realized that every other person, all 149 people, had come to Unilag to study something else. Either to study law or philosophy or mass comm or something else. Only one
original theater arts student.
So because they didn't meet the cutoff, the usual thing, they were all dumped into the department, and it was obvious the way they did things, the way they handled the assignments and practical works. And for me also, even though many of them didn't know I was a student until after 2 years.
How come? Stop. How come you didn't know you was a student?
Okay, so Joshua is that one person that you look for in class. So for me, I didn't know he was even a student.
You thought he was probably
I thought he was
a graduate
just,
assistant?
yes, so someone that just come and work with lecturers and leave until like maybe when we were finishing like second semester in 100 level, and I'm like, okay. So I get to see him when all other people are rehearsing, and I get to say, and I'm like, oh, okay.
He's one of us.
So you're a student here. This gentleman that always comes with a big bag on his back. So you're a student actually. Yeah, so that's it.
What was in that bag?
Everything. My toothbrush, my clothes for the next few days, soap, food, books. Yes,
Why
just
did
anything.
you live like that?
Well, I didn't know. So of course, I enjoyed carrying my bag. And because of the nature of my work, I would probably leave school to another film set, to another rehearsal. So I'll end what I need to do maybe around 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. midnight that same day. And I can't go back home, so I just have to crash somewhere around or that same place. So it was just really easy for me to get things done.
And your parents didn't complain?
I wasn't even living with my parents. I had left my parents since about age 13, 14, thereabout.
Oh, really? So it was easy for you to just be yourself?
Yes, it was.
No qualms?
No qualms at all. They also didn't know what was going on. I had left my dad's house because he didn't want me to study theater. He kicked
I wanted to hear that now.
He didn't want me to study theater. You know,
what did he want you to study?
He wanted me to be an accountant.
Oh.
So he did all he could. But also, my passion for theater, my passion for telling stories, came from my mom. My mom then, even though a very devout Christian, but she was a choir mistress, a fashion designer. She played the instrument. So everything my mom did, I learned because we were also very close. And I still do.
Wow.
I make a lot of things. I can make soap. They laugh at me sometimes that what can't I do? I make so many things. I can do so I can make money from so many things. But then I would go with my mom to the village. She used to attend the different festivals, the Shango festival. Her father was a Shango worshipper and was a Lord. So he would pull tricks and magic, and I fell in love with the whole color, costume, music, dance, the gun shooting. Everything was just really interesting to me, and that was where the passion for telling stories, for acting, for performing.
We will come back to you and your mom, because you just revealed something that's very, very interesting and key in the process of development of a person. Right now, and in your case, his bag attracted you, or what?
Yes.
How easy was it for you guys to hit it off?
Well, it was quite easy for us to hit it off because I saw someone with fire. I saw someone with passion. And for one, I was not one. I didn't come to study theater in the first place.
What was your original interest?
My original interest was law.
Oh.
I came to study law, and unfortunately, I always say fortunately, I fall short 2 cut-off marks. I think 3 of law. I was angry. I was pissed because at the time I could study any other course in the University of Lagos, even medicine, apart from law. So I said, I'm going to do JAM again. I need to study law. And they said, come, this guy, no waste time, now high cut-off, go find something to study.
Okay.
So I went back, I said, okay, I'll do a change of course. And they convinced me that 1 year you can go back and study law if you don't like it. And I found myself there.
And 1 year in?
And 1 year in,
You
and
were
I'm
fully
like,
in.
okay, I don't think that this young man can be serious in court anyway. So, and when I saw him, he had this drive, he had this passion, like, he made me believe you can actually make a living out of being a theater practitioner.
That's good.
That was what I saw. I'm like, okay, you have the fire. You know what? Let me join you. Let me bond with you. Let's do this together.
That was to burn or to bond.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break here now. When we come back, we'll resume our talk with these 2 gentlemen who are shining the light on a very glorious path, I believe. Welcome back. It's still Timeless Conversations on this channel. My two guests, two wonderful young men. Let me simply call them Joshua and KiNiNso, right? I got that right?
Yes.
Very good. Before we took the break, you were talking about your mom and her influence on you when it comes to the development of the theater bug in you. You said she is a devout Christian, but still related with her father, who was a Shango worshipper and the head hunter of the community. Which community was that?
Modakeke in
Osun State. Okay. Now, how were you able to balance those different belief systems that you saw?
For me, it wasn't totally different. Firstly, I was in love. I was all out for the fun and the depth of it. The music in church, I would sing, I would play the harmonica, I would perform acting, drama, work and with people, with other young people. Same thing in the village. The people would work together, would sing together, make clothes, and there was the performance bit. So for me, it was more about the performance and the engagement, how the people work together to have fun.
Say something about making clothes.
Yes, they made clothes. They made their costumes. Okay. All the hunters and I remember I used to meet with some of the Unifas. Then they used to make their own clothes, tying the beads, dye some of them, and it was fun. It was entertaining.
So it was like a hands-on thing for you.
Yes, it was a hands-on thing for me, and I didn't totally understand the depth of
there was some mystery to what
the mystery, yes, and the depth of this is Christianity, it was the same thing. I only remember that then my dad used to kick against my mom taking me there because he saw how engrossed and yes I was with this thing. I didn't know there had to be you had to choose one, Christianity or this, but I think on the long run, both have built me. I mean, I believe I'm a Christian, but at the same time, I understand culture and I love it, and I use my culture to tell religious stories sometimes.
So many years after, do you still relate with your granddad?
Yes, I mean, even though they are all late now.
Yes.
But yes, I really do. There's an aspect of them in everything that I do.
That you do. That's very good. Now, he was the one that brought you into all of this. But since you got into it, what has it been like for you?
Since I got into it, for me, I tell people that I couldn't have made it as a lawyer.
Wow.
Yes, I tell people that because for me, this is an expression. It allows you to, what I would say, impersonate any character that you want to be. It gives you the freedom to express yourself. So we have the liberty to go on stage and look the politician in the eye and tell him that you're corrupt. And he can't do anything about it.
Yes.
So for me, that freedom that I enjoy is what I value the most.
Okay.
Yes, it's a place to air my voice. It's a place for my opinion to be heard. Okay.
Now, there's something you guys have said you've done about training about 10,000 young men. How did you do that?
Okay, so when we say we've trained over 10,000, but not just in Nigeria. I mean, I think if we were to count in Nigeria, maybe about 5,000 to 10,000 just alone. But we've worked in other countries. We've worked in several African countries, Rwanda, Cameroon, Zimbabwe, Angola, Egypt, and so much more. But in Nigeria, we have a festival called KIFT. With that festival, we engage at least a minimum of 5,000 students and teachers. KIFT, K-I-F-T.
Oh, okay.
KiNiNso International Festival of Theatre. So we create works for children aged 0 to 2, 2 to 7, 7 to 14.
When does that hold?
It holds every November.
Oh, okay.
November every year, and we bring in international facilitators, workshops. We engage the teachers with psychologists on how best to teach children and teenagers. So in the area of arts, we teach young people, we teach secondary school, primary school children, and then we also work with communities. We have series of trainings. There's also something called the lab. So there's Bariga Lab, Oregon Lab, Ikeja Lab, where we teach young people on hands-on skills, photography, animation, and different things. We also teach business of creativity. So it's quite a lot that we do. And we work with communities as well on our advocacy project, our theater for development. We research a lot. We work with some of the NGOs, and it's quite a large community.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your Bariga experience. How did you, coming from your background, you know, and then ending up in Bariga?
It was,
What was that
I mean,
like?
yeah, I mean, that's also part of how the second bit of how KiNiNso was formed.
Yeah.
I'd always been curious about, you know, asking questions and wanting to know things. So I found myself in Bariga. I like to, you know, express it that way. I had lived in Ogba and then to Alagbado. And even that area of Alagbado, my father built his house. It still felt like we were living in our own interesting space. We had everything. And then I went to Bariga, smelling, you know, kids. And then Bariga was very, you know, one of the most violent places in Lagos. You would go to the downtown, you would go to down Ilaje or Sosa. You'd find young people with guns and, you know, so on. It was terrible for me. I joined a theater company there, and we were always in constant battle, constant confrontation with the
street talks.
the street, you know, with the street, and then with the artists. We were the only people who could face them, who could. We had no guns, but we would take our performance to the street or to their base and then begin to dance and begin to do some poetry. And they would get angry, scream. They couldn't harm us because while they were trying to recruit some young people, we were also trying to recruit some young people. And that's how the art in Bariga has blossomed so much. And yes, in my quest to wanting to say something, to ask questions, that's how we formed KiNiNso, to say, what do we want to say? We want to say that Nigerians, young people in Nigeria, can do better.
Okay.
Can say, can be bold enough to look into the eyes of any leader and say, you're not doing it right, you have to do it right. Okay. How do we do that? Through theater.
No, the advocacy that grew out of that has led you to collaborate with a lot of NGOs and civil society organizations. There's a particular play that you guys did recently.
Talk and Do.
Yeah, something like that.
Talk and Do was at Alliance Francaise in Lagos. It was also in Kano and Abuja. It was supposed to go to Edo and other states, but we couldn't due to COVID. Okay. With Talk and Do, we were dealing with addressing the issues of impunity, corruption and accountability amongst the leaders. So we brought in leaders from the police commission, from the police force, from the judiciary, from the Nigerian Bar Association, from other CSOs, from the community as well. We brought them all into a room, made this theater piece called Talk and Do. And for us, just the way the name sounds, it is what you say. Do it, practice what you preach. So, and then we brought them, performed this piece that had to do with how they're treating issues of people with disability, issues of police brutality, the deteriorating judicial system, and all of these issues, real issues that happen. So we performed for them, and afterwards put them all in groups, including the artists, to have a conversation, to discuss what's the feedback, what's the commitment, what are we committing to do after this? What do we want to do better?
Okay. Now, when you look at such a performance, the curious mind in the public would say it's convenient for young people to point accusing fingers at the leadership. What are young people themselves doing? There's so much yahoo around. There's so much ritual killings around. There's so much of violence motivated by this get-rich-quick attitude. What would you say as a young person?
these issues, the issue of Yahoo ritual killings, I don't think and I don't believe they are issues that can be exhausted so quickly, because the root cause sometimes are just something that they are quite disturbing. Sometimes you look at the background where some of these people are coming from, and then you look at the pressure that the social media is putting so many young people through, and these are some of the things that has driven so many young people. It has driven them. They say, you know what, I want to get rich quick. For me, I say it's greed. Like the popular saying, you want to chill with the big boys. You want to roll with the big boys.
Yes.
I mean, these are the things that drive most young people. When I was 18, I never dreamt of driving, I think, 504.
Yeah.
I never dreamt of driving a 504. It was beautiful from afar.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I appreciated it.
Yeah.
But all I knew is that the time was coming when I would drive a car.
Yes.
But not at that age. So what young people fail to do now is they fail to follow process. My father taught me to enjoy process. He said something that has never left me from when we were young.
What did he say?
He said, it is better for you when you're writing an exam. He said it's better for you to fail and fail honorably than for you to cheat and pass. So for each time in the university when I did a course and I failed, and people say, what did you? I said I failed it. I'll do it again. So that for me is a lesson that has and will never leave me as a person.
Sure.
Yes. So for me, I think these pressures in the society are those things that are driving young people. Process. Young people now don't want to follow process. They don't want to endure the process.
You know, carefully, when you say something like pressure from society, it sounds as though the home were being pushed out of that equation. What is society without the home?
Very true. The first place a child learns anything is the home.
Yeah.
I learned, my behaviors were built from my home. So the home is the first place that children learn, that young people learn. And it's so sad that some of these young people are put under pressure from the home. So many times I have a nephew that I've raised for a long time. And many times I would say to the mom, don't ever compare your son to someone else. Your son is your son.
Yeah.
If he gets this and that grade, he's your son. Don't tell him that, see, your friend is getting that grade and you're no. This is his grade. So whenever he comes back with his grades and I'm like, okay, you got this, you got this, you got this, I say, wow, fantastic, this is good. But you know, I know you can do better. That's so. Let's strike a deal, make it better. I do not ever try to compare him with someone else.
So that's positive pressure.
Yes.
The negative one will come in the area of
it's destructive.
Money.
Why? Yes. So why not be like this? So when young people see that, I mean, some parents. I have a friend whose mom would curse on her when she needs money. Just would do anything for her to give her money, and she often says, "So this woman know how to get money." So those pressures most of the time would lead people to doing what they would not normally want to do.
There was a story I read of Professor Sam Aluko of blessed memory, who returned to Nigeria with his PhD and all that, got a job, and he went home with a car. And everybody in his village celebrated him and all that. In the deep of night, he said that his father and mother called him and said, "Where did you get money to buy that car?" And he now smiled and told them, "Oh, that car is on loan, that he bought it on loan." These days, people buy cars and nobody's questioning them. Young people. Would you take a car home and your dad will welcome you?
I mean, let me say this. If I take a car home right now, my father, if he were to be alive, would still question me. Yes, he would still question me like, okay, so what do you do? What he's trying to do is, he's not saying that I cannot own a car now, but he's trying to vet, what do you do? Your job, is it able to get you this lifestyle at this particular point in time? But these are the things that some parents don't do. Some parents don't care. Our society right now, we've come to a stage where, you know what, just make it. We don't care how you make it. All we want to do is we want to celebrate you. Now the latest big boy be that.
So Joshua, where does that lead us?
It leads us into destruction.
But we don't want to be destroyed.
Yes, we don't want to be destroyed.
So what is KiNiNso going to do?
KiNiNso is actually doing a lot.
Yeah.
We're hoping to do more. With support, we believe we can do more. We've, over the years, touched almost everything that affects us as a people. Aside treating the subject of malaria, of cancer, we did a research for about 2 years and came up with a script on a play and some short campaign on a work called Sniper. And Sniper focused on depression, mental health, suicide. Why young people would rather just die rather than, I mean, I don't think when my parents or the older generation during their time, when they fail or when they're unable to buy the big cars, I mean, even though they were not even, the race wasn't even about to buy the big cars then, the race was to impress the family, impress the society, be the light of that, of that society. But they wouldn't die, they wouldn't jump off a cliff or into the river. But now, so Sniper tried to deal with the issues, and we met with families of people who have committed suicide or victims, and it was quite an intense project. So we touched the area of Sniper to let young people know that you're doing fine, choose life first, hard work, do not devalue hard work. Take responsibility. You fail, you try again, you move on. So with Sniper, we've done that, and with Join Body, Join Body was Sorry and Join Body. We had a performance called Sorry before the election in 2019, and we had Join Body after the election. What Sorry did was, with Sorry, we went to different stops in Lagos.
Stops? You mean bus stops?
Bus stop, yes. Ilaje bus stop. Obalende, Yanoba. We kept going from place to place around Lagos to perform to young people, market women, young and old, to let them know that their vote is their power. Even though you think you're old, Nigeria cannot give you anything. For those coming, they still need you to vote. So for young and old, we really interacted with a lot of street boys, Agbero, under the bridge. We were able to convince some of them. It was quite impressive working with them. With Join Body as well, we also looked at the aftermath of the election. Why violence? Why is that the way? Why do we, in the name of political party, break apart? How can we come together to decide and say, this person we've elected into office, you must be accountable. We must, as we were saying earlier, we must have your phone number. We must know what you're doing. We must be able to monitor the work that you've promised to do for us as a people.
No, the interesting thing is that on the one hand, society complains about young people feeling so entitled. On the other hand, the young people complain about the older generation, that they don't want to leave the scene. But can you say that the younger generation is prepared to take over?
No, we're not. We're not prepared to take over, and it is still very, it is pronounced in our body language, our attitude. We have a friend called Effective. He's a radio presenter. Effective now is vying for the, I think, House of Rep office, and he's finding it difficult to even bring his own friends to understand his vision and to support him. And we keep saying politics is for the old people, it's a dirty game. It will keep being dirty until we get involved. But to answer your question, we're not ready. And why do I think we're not ready? I think we're not ready because what we consume does not reflect a generation that wants change. What we consume in terms of content, in terms of in terms of content, in terms of our social behavior, even the economic behavior, it does not reflect it. We still reflect Nigeria is not working for me. The government has done nothing for me. So I either japa or I stay here and make it reach anyhow. And with that attitude, we really cannot do anything.
I totally agree with him. Young people, we are not ready. And the reason why I'm saying we are not ready is if we take a look at the lifestyle and we want to separate generations from one generation to another, now the values that our parents had as a generation is totally different from what we now see as values. So today, our lifestyle, we've all thrown away our values to social media. So the social media instructs most young people on what to do. And for me, I'm scared because I have little ones, younger ones, nephew, and I'm asking myself, is this what they are going to come up to see? We've seen 18 years, 17, 19, wanting to drive a car, wanting to use the kinds of phones.
Well, they can drive a car if they have access to the car.
Yes, but they want to buy. They want to buy a house. So I had a friend, a sad story. We left the village together, came to Lagos. He went to school, studied electrical and electronic engineering, University of Lagos. And when he came in, he was fascinated by the lifestyle. He saw young boys driving tinted cars. And the next thing was that he wanted to drive a tinted car. Wow. I was satisfied trekking to school. I was glad doing it. But he wanted to drive a car. And today he's no more.
No more.
So he bored for 2 years, like they say in our time, and he left the scene. So for me, this is a problem that our generation
But how do we solve it? It can't be all that gloomy. There are still young people who are hardworking, who are dedicated, and who are committed to making a difference in society. Seems we're not hearing so much about them.
That's where I think for a generation that is prepared or that wants to show that we are prepared, we need to begin to celebrate those people, the people doing small things. We know a few of them. A lot of people don't. And it's not about the big things. It's about the small
things. Yes.
The small many things. We know Isaac in Ajegule. We know Shima Obaju in Bariga, who started a free school.
Yeah.
He built by the seaside. He bought the land. I think about 250 per plot. He bought about 6 plots with wood, and him and his friends, they built the school. And all the children within that community, when you're driving on Third Mainland, that, the wooden part you see of Bariga, every child, now they have over 300 to 400 children from primary 1 till JS3, SS3 presently. And actually last year, some of them wrote JAM and WAEC, and they came out in flying colors.
That's the kind of story we should be telling.
Exactly.
Hold on. We'll take a break now, and when we're back, we'll continue that. Stay tuned. back to Timeless Conversations. Before the break, we were talking about celebrating the members of the younger generation who are making positive waves. And you were talking about the free school. That's one Mr. Awubajo.
School, yes, Awubajo.
Okay.
In Bariga. The school has about 300 to 400 children, and Sean has had to regularly find a way to raise funds to pay the teachers and for the children to attend the school for free. And the government, the Lagos State government, has seen the good work they're doing, and they're looking at ways to help. There's also a Bolore initiative who built Jelusime Art Center and teaching every young person that's interested within initiative painting, adire making for free.
Really?
Them to exhibit, also looking for platforms for them to exhibit anything they make and get it bought by people, and then thereby making money. So quite a lot of people, also at KiNiNso, we are also doing quite a lot with young people, and we should begin to celebrate.
So that's the thing you said about process. That to make money, there's a process. To make an impact in society, there's a process. The process doesn't need to be created by government, though.
Yes.
Because all this you said now were created by those young people who had the inspiration to want to do something. Now, the inspiration you guys have is being expressed in the area of advocacy, of theater, of the moving production that you move from one point to the other. However, what about getting involved in politics? Why are young people running away from politics? Why?
I think it's still that thing of that question of what has the government done for me? They fail to remember that the government is you and me, whether we like it or not. You know, call it whatever you want to call it. The government is still us, and until we can speak together, get engaged, and that's the way forward. No time for fence sitters anymore or backseaters. We want change. You're sure that you want to do something good. You're sure that you have great ideas. Step forward. Let people, and don't expect to be supported at that point. You know, but keep trying. That's the thing. Everything in life is about, you know, trying again and again and again. But as we've discussed earlier, our generation, we don't have that focus. We don't have that ability to concentrate on one thing and put all our energy and effort into it to understand, to achieve the big picture. We believe that it starts now, it has to be successful now, it has to come out fine now. If it doesn't, then it's not the way. But getting involved in politics is the way to go now, and not just getting your PVC.
Yes, I was going to say, okay, so do you have a PVC?
Oh yes, I do have my PVC.
Okay.
And a long time ago, I changed my mind about politics being a dirty game.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Tell me the story.
About even if I vote or I don't vote, the person who's going to win will still win. So I changed my mind a long time ago, and it took me to the point that I left my house. I walked for like 30 minutes just to go and vote.
That's a very long trek.
Yes, I did it just to go and vote. And when my friends heard the story, they were like, Kushel, patriotic Nigeria, change maker. And I'm like, you know what? If we are all going to come out and say, you know, we are going to vote, it's going to make rigging an election very difficult.
Yes.
When people come out and vote, it makes rigging very difficult.
Yes.
But that's one point that we don't understand. And for young people going into politics, we always have the ideology that politics is a dirty game. So if you don't want to play dirty, don't go into politics. And this has also been a mindset that has been spread around even Christians and Muslims.
Yes.
People that say, oh, we are Puritans. We don't want to soil our hands in a dirty game. And I'm so glad that right now we've realized that we have made a mistake.
Yeah.
If you want to change things, then you need to be in the gathering where decisions are made.
Yes.
So if we don't get into politics, how do we even want to change these things in the first place? How do we even want to choose our own leaders? Someone was saying, oh, thank God I didn't vote. I said, thank God me, I voted. I might vote and my candidate does not win, the person I voted for.
Yeah.
But I have one thing, I voted for someone. That is my point. That is what I want to take home.
Yes, so now if we mobilize to get young people involved in politics, what should be the drive? For instance, the impact of social media was felt during the recent NSAS protests that took place majorly were firstly in Lagos, Abuja, and then spread to other cities or states in Nigeria. The mobilization was done majorly through and by social media. But the coordination of, okay, what to do beyond the protest failed. Because if you talk to government, if you talk to anybody who is in leadership, you call attention. They must have people to relate to. That didn't follow. A political party could have emerged from that protest. So as young people, what kind of examples can be set for your generation, by your generation?
So I would say that passion, that will and drive we had during the NSAS protest, if we continuously have that for another 8 years, then this real change will start. Our generation, we must understand that in everything we do, we must be willing to compromise. We must be willing to stoop to conquer. We held the nation for a week or more, and we could not make anything out of it. Why? Because we wanted to be louder than we were already. For me, at that point, I was saying, my opinion was, we could have gotten, we can't get the presidency, we can't get it. Not because we can't, but because we're not prepared for it. So, Kosovo is a good example. But at least, if our generation had asked for seats in the House of Rep at that time, if we had asked for if we had taken major decisions, if we had asked for local government seats to, some local governments around Nigeria, because really that's what the change is. The change is not totally up there as far as I'm concerned. The change is the local government chairman who's doing interesting things in his community. So in Lagos, if we have 20 local governments or 15 filled up with young people, that's a great achievement.
Young people who are working.
Young people who are working, who have a vision.
Because there are young people who have already joined the old bandwagon.
Exactly. So I think that's the way to go. The way to go is not to bid for the biggest. The way to go is to bid for the many small, the councillorship, the House of Rep, the House of Assembly. That's what we need to start from, because those are the people actually making the law. Those are the people controlling that immediate environment. So for me, that's my recommendation.
That's what's yours.
For me, my recommendations would be that young people should learn to support people for a cause, not for my cause.
Okay.
So.
Or what's the need for me?
Yes, what's in it for me? If we are going to be working to build a nation, let's build a nation. For instance, I don't want to support a Joshua because when he gets there, he's going to give me all the contracts in the state. I want to support him because when he gets there, he's going to do what is right for the state. So that would be something, so I don't have expectations that, I supported him, I gave him all my support because I wanted this and that from him. I'm supporting him for the greater good. And then young people should also learn to use the social media to their advantage. we have used the social media for every other thing right now, and for more negative things than positive things. I think we should be able to use the social media now for more positive things.
Yeah.
The social media is a platform for people to converse, air your opinions, and all of that. Why not use it positively? If I'm to run for a position now, I have a platform of the social media to campaign. I have the platform of the social media to tell people, this is my dream, this is my vision, this and this is what I want to do. So let's use that platform well. Let's not abuse it.
I'm smiling now because of what you just said and realizing that a lot of people on social media make noise. Many of them don't have PVCs. And whether we like it or not, we need to keep up the campaign for PVCs, because that's when the statement, your vote is your power,
Yes.
makes sense. You can't vote without a PVC. And many young people deliberately are not enrolling to have their PVCs. Is KiNiNso doing anything in that regard?
Yes, we're doing quite a lot though. Of course, we have our pieces, and jokingly last week at the office, I was saying, how can we, I want to create a TV show. How can we gather people that are our own personal people, about 1,000 people, to get their PVC and vote through a prank, because we watch prank videos everywhere. And then I was just thinking randomly like, okay, at least if I begin to count people from my church, people I know from all sorts, everywhere, I should be able to get at least 500 people that I know. My WhatsApp, I have over 3,000 people on my WhatsApp. So how can we get them all to have their PVC? Let me cook up a lie that I'm vying for a position. They will want to vote for me. I mean, well, maybe not vote for me, but I know the 500 that would respond to my call when I make the call that I want to have a meeting, and they will come. Have your PVC. So these are some of the things we're thinking of. We're also thinking of creating the ideal Nigeria, the ideal future, because we know that that's the power of storytelling. Tell people for something over time, let them hear it over time, let them see it over time. It begins to register in their consciousness. How can we create a campaign where we no longer show the sad Nigeria, the pain in Nigeria? How can we begin to show police as what they should be? How can we begin to show our schools, the education system, as what it should be? How can we show in pictures, in stories, how can we show justice being delivered on time? So these are some projects that we're thinking of that would help the young people to change their mindset, to change their perspective of things, and take charge of the political space.
Now, you said something about there being money in theater, in the dramatic arts and all that. How do you rate the coming of Netflix to the Nigerian space? How? The impact you think it's had or it's having and could even further have on the income?
Okay, so I would say it's a good development. We should always expect change to come. And why I'm saying it's a good development is coming into this space, we now have the opportunity to meet these people one-on-one. And if I have a work that is good, I now have a platform. I can always run around and try to get them to see it. Yeah. It might be difficult, but just the fact that they are there gives me that hope that, guys, you know what? Let's just keep doing this thing. Yeah. One day, they're going to see it. So for me, it's a good development. And of course, it's good money. It's good money for the pocket. Are
you planning anything towards being able to tap into the Netflix money?
Yes.
Or let's say Netflix opportunity?
Opportunity. Yeah. Yes, actually, since 2020, we've been talking to a distributor who's also on the Netflix, who's also a Netflix consultant, who sources for films and so on. And we haven't, not that we haven't found the ideal story yet, but we personally, I would say, I don't know what it is. We have great stories. We have great work. We have great stories, script already, stories. But maybe the time hasn't come.
Yeah.
That's how I believe, that's how I say it, that when the time is right, the right content will find the right platform.
That's what he said about process again. That it takes time.
Yes.
You prepare for it. When the opportunity comes, then
Take it.
to say it in the parlance of the younger generation, you blow.
I just want to say this in light of this, what we're discussing. Maybe it would make sense or help anybody to understand what we mean better. Since we started KiNiNso in 2011, our dream has always been to, yes, tell stories across Nigeria, but be that organization that would employ 90% theater graduates and take them around the world, make money, get exposed, gain more knowledge, and so on. And from the first year up until the third or fourth year, we kept trying, we kept contacting universities abroad that have theater departments, and it wasn't working. And the second opportunity, we were slammed. It didn't work. And after the second one, while planning for the third one, we told ourselves, we discussed, we said, this will be the last time. This will be the last time. And indeed it was the last time. And we moved it to the point where the embassies in Nigeria are the ones who then look for opportunities for us abroad to say, we found this or we know these guys. We want you to come do something with them. So the process never fails.
That's the power of process.
Yes.
Right? And taking your time preparing, not giving up at all. Now, with the experience you've had now, you started some almost 11 years ago, and respectively between you, each one of you will be anything between 30-something and 40, right? In about 10, 15 years' time, you'll be about 50 or a little older. They'll start calling you old man. What do you see yourselves doing in the next 10, 15 years?
I see myself still telling stories, but most importantly teaching.
Okay.
I apologize for using this word. I hate the way the system of teaching and training in Nigeria. It's like a war zone. So that's why I train, that's why I facilitate workshops quite a lot, from team bonding to any other thing. In 10, 15 years' time, I want to keep training, I want to keep developing people in different fields, not just arts, in business of creativity, in different art forms. People need to be able to not just communicate effectively, but through the arts, through this training, know where they want to go, know what is right for them.
All right, so Anifa?
I'm not going too far from that. Yeah. And the reason why I would say teaching, training people is so far we are products of people that have gone ahead of us, even though we don't have the opportunity to really learn from as much people as we would love to. That's why I would say teaching. I want to be able to open my doors and have 50 people, 100 people who say, you know what, I actually learned from this guy, and he's a great guy. Yeah. And for me, it's a ripple effect. Right. When you teach people, you are giving them a part of yourself that you don't get back. Yeah. And when you teach them, they teach others who teach others. So it's a ripple effect.
So that's like you're both committed to giving back to society.
Yes.
For the opportunities you have had.
Yes.
Before we go, I'd like to say to both of you that you're such an inspiration.
Thank you.
You are. And you show that there is really hope for our country and society. But I want each one of you to look into the camera and say to your generation what you want them to do. Joshua?
Okay. Take responsibility. Take responsibility. Know that if you have a sister, if you have a brother, they are looking up to you, and you can't do things for them because you want it in return. So if you open up that mindset and do it for everybody, for the greater good, then things will change. Those things you want will change.
And Efra?
Wow. I would say to my generation, life is a process. So endure the process or enjoy it and wait for your time. Your time will surely come. And don't ever forget, in whatever you do, a good name is better than riches.
Yes, and it's been a wonderful time with these two gentlemen, Joshua Labi and Aniefio Iyang of KiNiNso Koncepts Productions, right?
Yes.
I have enjoyed myself, and you have really lifted up my spirits and hopes about the younger generation in Nigeria. Until the next time on this program, it's been nice having you. Thank you.
Thank you.